Hello, I'm Kostas Kourouniotis. I'm the veterinarian from the Imbb Animal Facility. Today, we'll say some things about the safety issues in experiments with living organisms. It will be a short presentation because most of the things I could say have already been said by the previous speakers. Mostly we talk about the animal facility and mice because that's the organism we have in the animal facility. Now, for those who come for the first time in the premises of the animal facility, please ask to be informed about the protocol of entry and the general behavior in the animal facility. For that, you can contact us, the phone numbers. For one thing, in order to enter in the animal facility, you have to be covered from head to toe with coveralls, surgical caps, shoe covers, gloves, etc. Before you enter in the animal rooms, you have to sanitize your hand and wear gloves. Now, when you enter, take some time to look around and find out where the emergency exits are. Please remember where the exit is, if there are any emergency exits, where the water faucets are so you can wash after a splash or something, you get contaminated, where the fire extinguisher is, and where the telephones are in case you have to contact with the outside world. The main gate, you can use it if you get locked in. It has happened in the past. Technical service if there was a leak in water pipe, electrical failures, etc. And if you want to contact the other workers in the animal facility, you use the numbers to see for the animal facility. Now, for some more, for some more general issues, that applies so in the animal facility and in the laboratories in general. Always wear gloves. Of course, don't eat, drink, or smoke in the animal facility. Try and keep your workbench clean and tidy. That will help you. It will help you, so you won't have to, let's say, chase a mice between little bottles and boxes if it escapes. Organize and prepare everything you need before you start. So again, you won't have to look for tubes, syringes, scissors while you hold the mice. Always have a second empty cage near you when you work with mice. So you take the mouse out of the cage where they kept in, do whatever you have to do, injections or whatever, and then put it on the empty cage before you take the next mouse. Never leave it on the top of the cage because it will just jump off and run away. And of course, be careful with the things you use. Now, about handling mice, the most important is to be calm. If you're nervous, the animals will get nervous and it will be very difficult to work with them. Now, in order to restrain a mouse, you catch it by the tail, put it on top of the grill of the cage, then grab the mouse by the neck, just behind the ears, and try to get as much skin as you can between your thumb and index. That will keep it immobilized. But if anyway you do get bitten, please keep cool. Don't shake or yank your hand because that will break its neck, especially in younger mice. And of course, you could send it flying away, which has happened before. Now, because most of the animals we use are mutated, we have to be very, very careful not to let them escape in the environment. Any mouse that has escaped, it has to be found dead or alive. We have to be very careful with that. Now, I try to, if it works, show you how you catch and restrain the mouse. Just a short video. Okay. Oops. Yeah. Now, after you finish, before leaving, clean and disinfect your workbench. Any sharp object you needed, put it in the special containers. Any cadavers or tissues, they should put in the freezer for incineration. There is a freezer in the side entry of the building C down at the animal facility. When you finish with the mice, the dead bodies, please don't wrap it up in the aluminum foil. You can wrap it up in the paper tissue or just put it in the plastic bag, because after incineration, the aluminum turns to dust and pollutes the environment, and we can inhale. Any contaminated materials, they should be sterilized in the autoclaving. If you use the autoclave, you have to be very careful, never open it before complete decompression, and use protective gloves so you avoid accidental burns. Now, about the animals we don't need anymore, or we have to sacrifice. If it's a large number of animals, we use CO2, carbon dioxide. If there are just a few, we can use cervical dislocation. But before we throw them away, we have to be very, very sure that they are dead. For that, we have to wait for rigor mortis, especially when we use CO2, because they might seem dead, and after a quarter or so, they wake up again and start moving. I have found in the past live animals in plastic bags that were put in the freezer. Now, newborns or very young animals, they are very, very resistant to CO2. Actually, they just don't die. So instead, we use decapitation. It's not very pleasant, but we have to do it. We use small scissors to decapitate them. Yep. Some more general preventing measures. All those that work with animals should be vaccinated for tetanus. Few things about zoonosis. One of the most important when we work with mice, it's leptospirosis, which is transmitted by direct contact or with urine or other tissues like embryo fluids from abortions, etc., or just water contaminated by them. But you don't have to be worried because you can get it from wild or free animals. Where our animals are supposed to be pathogen-free. For that reason, we have a periodic health screening, so they're not dangerous. Well, we have a lot of zoonoses. Some of them are like rat bite fever when we work with rats, tularemia, etc. But the real problem is allergies. Statistics have shown that up to or even more than 50% of those that work for a long time in the animal facility will sometimes develop some form of allergy. Allergies come from allergens like proteins from animal hair, follicles, saliva, feces, etc. Dust from the litter, from the wood shaving. Impaired air makes things worse. If we know that we suffer from the allergies, we should report it. Most common symptoms, usually we just have sneezing, coughing, eye irritation, but we can get asthma and very rare anaphylactic or anaphylactic shock. Sometimes it happens after a bite if saliva enters the blood circulation, but it's very rare. To protect ourselves, we can use protective masks, coveralls, goggles to protect our eyes, gloves, etc. Okay, that's all I had to say. I said it was a short presentation. If you have any questions and I can ask them, please ask.